Expired, and I give the call to member for Durack.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'll begin my contribution to this debate today by acknowledging the elephant in the room. Yes, those opposite had an excellent election night, and I congratulate the Prime Minister and all the new Labor members in this place. But politics surely should not be about personal victories. Politics must deliver tangible results for Australians, and unfortunately, this government has failed to deliver. The Prime Minister, well, he'll naturally be pretty pleased with himself. There he is, sitting in the lodge. But, Deputy Speaker, let me tell you, things aren't so good in the real world. While this week marks the start of the 48th Parliament, the same issues exist today that existed on the 3rd of May. In my electorate of Durack, which voted overwhelmingly against this Labor government, I still have dual-income families across Geraldton and many other parts of my electorate relying on Foodbank just to get by, just to put food on the table. They can't work anymore, and they're just hanging on by the skin of their teeth. So I say to those opposite, in between patting yourselves on the back, and I'm sure you'll do plenty of that, please consider those Australians who are doing it tough. Please consider the 330,000 Australians now trapped in over $300 million of energy debt. Please consider the fact that the average mortgage holder remains $1,900 a month worse off than before the election of this government back in 2022. Please remember the young Australians who feel that the Australian dream of home ownership is just out of reach. As the MPI before us says, these issues have been perpetuated by the government's failure. That's why the economy is stalling and households are in recession. Now, one of the greatest issues facing our country is Labor's housing crisis. And I assure you, we didn't need a leaked Treasury document to tell us that the government plan is failing. Labor went to the election promising 1.2 million new homes. Members on this side of the House and industry always knew that this number was simply a nonsense, Madam Deputy Speaker. And now Treasury has, well, accidentally confirmed this. The Treasurer has said, well, he's not concerned by the leak. Well, he may not be concerned about the leak, but I really hope that he's concerned by industry estimates that what we already know, that we're on track to miss the target by over 400,000 homes. The so-called Housing Australia Future Fund is a complete joke. And my colleague in the Senate, Senator Bragg, has pointed out the government's $10 billion has so far built just 17 houses in Canberra and bought 300,000 pre-existing houses. Now, this failure with respect to the housing crisis is having real-world consequences. Australians are entering the housing market later and putting off having a family because it's just too expensive. And now we have the lowest fertility rate in Australia's history. What bigger issue could there be than making it easier for Australians to buy their own home and start a family? Now, this is a big problem facing younger Australians, as is the nation's trillion debt, which we are set to hit this financial year, which will be hanging over their heads, their children and their grandchildren for years to come. Now, before the election, there was no talk from those opposite about higher taxes or cuts. But now we know the advice from Treasury, that secretly disclosed Treasury document, is that Labor cannot fix the budget without raising taxes and cutting spending. As the Leader of the Opposition said earlier, when Labor runs out of money, well, they come after yours. We all know that Labor's radical super tax on unrealised capital gains will not be the end of their crusade to come after Australians' money. Now, one of the things that I'm particularly interested in is where are these cuts going to come from? And not surprisingly, we've had a really good example recently of cuts which are related to the most remotest, the most vulnerable people in this land. I'm talking about Labor's snap NDIS decision to remove regional loading and reduce travel support, which is a serious concern for regional therapy providers and recipients. Over the last couple of weeks, I've met with NDIS providers across the Kimberley, the Midwest and the Pilbara, and they have serious issue with the government's reforms. Now, it's clear to me and clear to all of us that the NDIS is blown out of its original intent. But surely this is not where you start. in the most remotest, with the most vulnerable people in our country, that's where you start. People who have real health needs. That is not where you start. And I encourage Minister Butler to go back and have a look at this, and please consult more broadly to make sure we get this right. This government is full of hubris, full of confidence, and I ask that you think about the Australians. Stop thinking about yourselves.
Time has expired, and I give the call to the member.